Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast. We cover everything Major League from spring training to the World Series. We've got your favorite club covered from New York to Boston to LA. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, and happy Thanksgiving, and welcome to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeff Melanoff, and with me is the sweet potato pie to my pumpkin pie. I give you Marc Souza.
How's it going?
Good. Bless you, by the way.
Thank you.
Anyways, we got a lot to talk, well, not a lot to talk about. We're doing a special 30-minute quick episode today. We've been doing a couple more episodes than usual for this week, for this Wednesday morning, so this is going to go quickly. We're going to first talk about the Yankees trade as they acquire Paxton, and we have more details on that with Marc, and then we'll get on the Hall of Fame ballots that are available. So what is this trade the Yankees got, my friend?
Yes, so we all know that the Yankees are a very good offensive baseball team, but pitching is a problem for them. We know that they struggled pitching, and that ultimately I think is what separates the Red Sox from the Yankees, because both of those lineups were potent, but the Yankees just could not match the arms of the Red Sox. Well, the Yankees have put pitching as their focus, and they went out and made a trade with the Seattle Mariners. They have acquired James Paxton, all-star pitcher, left-handed pitcher, and in addition to Paxton, they have given up in return some would consider their top prospect, at least their top pitching prospect, Justice Sheffield. He will go to Seattle. And also two other minor league players. But Justice Sheffield is definitely the main piece, the main reason why the Mariners would make that deal. So, the Yankees now acquire an all-star pitcher to go with Severino, Tanaka, and CC Sabathia will be back.
But let me ask you this important question. Do you think giving rid of their top pitching prospect is going to bite them on the butt?
It could, but the problem is,
I know they were impatient in we want to be patient for this guy to develop, we want to win now type of scenario. I get that part, but maybe this guy becomes something serious and they could have had him and they could have had their pitching problem solved if they just were patient.
So, if Justice Sheffield ends up turning into like a Kershaw type of pitcher, I mean, obviously, I think we know that the Yankees will lose this trade. But he hasn't played in the majors yet, and scouts are a little bit torn on him. They're not really sure if they see him more as a number 2 or number 3 type pitcher, or some scouts even think that he's better suited as a relief pitcher. He throws pretty hard. He had his ups and downs this last year, and some scouts said that a lot of his struggles were due to him overthrowing, with trying to get to the big leagues, maybe just a little too amped up when he pitched. So it's hard to tell, Jeff. It just depends on, I guess, where you see Sheffield's career going. As of right now, the Yankees have a all-star pitcher under a very reasonable contract, about $4.5 million, who's under team control for 2 seasons. So they're in a win-now mode. Would you agree with that with the Yankees?
Oh, 100. That's why they got rid of their prospect and got someone that's good now. They're wanting to win now, and they think this is the best chance to win now.
So they acquire a guy who might be their number 1. He's probably going to be their number 2, but still, Paxton as an all-star, American League all-star.
Get your game on, go play.
Oh, God.
Do you like that Smash Mouth reference?
No.
Hey, now.
Not the
you're
greatest.
You're a rock star. You're a show star.
So,
I don't remember the lyrics. Hold on. Hey, now. You're an all-star. Get your game on.
You just let me know when you're ready to.
All that. Okay, good.
Yeah, no one cares.
You don't care about Smash Mouth?
No. Anyways, the Yankees have drawn first blood of all the American League teams who are trying to catch the Boston Red Sox. Now, we've heard the Yankees might be in on the Bryce Harper and or Manny Machado sweepstakes. Do you see either one of those players being a serious contender for the Yankees?
I could see them getting Machado, an infielder. because they have two big outfielders already in Judge and Stanton, and I think getting Machado is the best choice due to just fielding purposes, just position-wise.
Yeah, I agree there. I would see them going for Machado more than Harper. Plus, I think Harper's a little more expensive. I think he'll end up being a little bit more.
Harper might get up to like I was disagreeing with $400 million, podcast a while ago, but now I'm like, I can see him getting $400 million now.
What if the Yankees wanted Bryce Harper to play first base?
I think that's up to Bryce Harper. Or, if he says no to that, he can easily go to the team play outfielder.
Or you could always DH, Judge or
Stanton. Who's the better fielder, though, Stanton or Judge? They're both not the best of fielders.
His arm. Mm-hmm. But I don't know.
I just think like you have to do a lot of position maneuvering to get Harper, and with Machado, you really don't need that.
A lot of baseball minds, a lot of scouts think that the Yankees actually got an incredible deal in this trade. But they don't give the Mariners any love for getting a top prospect pitcher. So Justice Sheffield, MLB.com has him as the 31st best prospect in all of baseball, but the number one pitching prospect and the Yankees' number one prospect in general. So
that's a big sacrifice, in my opinion. Then you're the number one pitching prospect in the league.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times these players don't work out, though. These top prospects.
Yeah, but that's a big risk to me still.
Who was the pitcher that the Giants traded to the Mets for Carlos Beltran, who didn't work out? But he was there. He was one of the top young prospects, and he flamed out big time.
Couldn't even tell you.
I can't remember.
I think that's the point of your argument.
Mm-hmm. I get it. But when you're the Yankees, you don't really need to. The Yankees aren't a team that has to really develop a lot of young prospects. I mean, they still do, but with that type of money, they're able to go get guys.
I guess.
Does this move put the Yankees closer to the Red Sox, or at least more even in that matchup with their rival?
They still need a lot more work, to be honest, in my opinion, because of how good and truly good the Red Sox are. They are just on a completely different level, to my opinion.
So do you think the Yankees need another pitcher, or do you think they need to go for a guy like Machado?
They need both. They need to probably get some more pitching in their rotation, because I feel like their pitching is still weak, all things considered. They can still improve on that. But I also think in terms of they need defense more rather than offense, because they have plenty of offense. They can get the runs. But sometimes that Stanton can get on such a cool streak that he is virtually just a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But Machado is also kind of a head case. So if anyone can handle a head case, it's the Yankees.
So in 2018, the only pitchers in the big leagues that had a higher strikeout rate and made at least 27 starts than Paxton are Chris Sale, Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, and Justin Verlander. Behind Paxton are Bauer, DeGrom, Corbin, and Blake Snell. That's pretty good company right there. Some Cy Young winners, some obvious aces, some World Series winners. That's some good competition right there.
It gives you a lot of hope going into him going to the Yankees. Gives a lot of Yankees fans hope. Maybe this guy can be that ace we need, or that Cy Young Award winner we need.
I don't think the Yankees are done either. I think they'll go after a pitcher, though. If I had to...
The Yankees are never done in the offseason. Are you kidding me?
I think that they don't get Machado, and I think they don't get Harper either. But I do think they could get a guy like Corbin. He's potentially the top free agent pitcher. Dallas Keuchel is a free agent. There are other guys that may not be as big names, but could bolster their starting rotation. So it will be interesting to see kind of where they go from here.
Only way is up for the Yankees at the moment.
And again, $4.6 million is what they're paying Paxton. So they didn't give up. They didn't acquire somebody who's eating up a ton of payroll, so it still allows them the flexibility to go out and buy one of these free agents.
They did get lucky with the money he has.
Right.
Because he could be worth so much more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay. Other than that, the Oakland A's, they acquired right-handed pitcher Tanner Anderson from the Pirates for a player to be named later, it sounds like. I don't know if that really moves the needle at all. He was 1-0 last year in 6 outings, so who knows? But
Hey, 1 win, no losses.
the A's are always making these types of moves, it feels like. Something that may look like it's inconsequential, and it turns out to be a big deal, like down the road. So, yeah, and Jim Hickey steps down as Cubs pitching coach. He's citing personal reasons, so he was only there for 1 year.
What do you think those personal reasons are? Like family or?
Oh, I don't want to
Health?
speculate. I really don't, but hopefully it's nothing too serious, right?
Yeah. You never wish that on somebody.
Cool. So what do you say we take a break? We have a lot of Hall of Fame stuff to talk about. We have plenty of players that we can talk about as this year's Hall of Fame vote is coming up.
Sweet, we get on that when we get back to you.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back, everyone, to the GSMC Baseball Podcast. We just finished talking about the offseason maneuvering that's happened recently. But now we go on to retirees in the MLB as Adrian Beltre has announced his retirement.
Who did?
Adrian Beltre.
Oh, wow. 21 years, and he finally hung him up, huh?
Yeah, I think he wanted to win a World Series, but I think he knows that now that's probably not going to happen.
You think he's a surefire Hall of Famer?
I believe so. 3,000 hits. 3,000 hits should get you in the Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah.
Is everybody that has 3,000 hits, are they in the Hall of Fame?
Is Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame?
Okay, but you know what I mean.
I'll look at the 3,000 hit club right now.
Okay. All right. Well, while you do that, I do want to talk about the Hall of Fame because it's that time of year where the finalists have been announced. We have some new additions to the Hall of Fame voting. We have some players who have been snubbed for various reasons.
I found them already, but can I tell you like who is not in it and they're kind of still active or just retired?
Who's that?
Okay. Everyone else has made the Hall of Fame besides these players. Pete Rose for obvious reasons. Derek Jeter. Adrian Beltre. Alex Rodriguez. Ichiro Suzuki. Albert Pujols. Rafael Palmeiro.
Yeah.
Isn't Palmeiro?
They're all going to get in except for probably Palmeiro. But again, that's a whole issue in itself, right? Pete Rose, too. I think Pete Rose will eventually get in.
Yes. Well, he's banned for life.
Yeah, but things change. You get pardoned. You know, people have been pardoned in the government before. Like, they're at some point, they're just going to be like, all right, let him in.
I honestly hate to say this. I think they're going to say that when he's dead.
Yeah, probably. That's probably what's going to happen.
He's going to die and then get in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it does suck to say, but couldn't you see that happening where people are a little bit sentimental? And then they're like, you know what? Yeah, he made some transgressions, but we think he deserves to be in. So let's talk about the new player. You know what? Yeah, we'll talk about the newcomers first. I'm going to go ahead and ask you. I'll name them. And you kind of tell me what your first thoughts are. And then if you want to add any comments, feel free, okay? First one, and again, these are all first-timers. Roy Halladay. You know, he had his tragic death last year, about a year ago.
Yeah, I think that puts him in the Hall of Fame, just him tragically passing away. His no-hitter in the playoffs in 2010, I believe it was. Yeah, I think that puts him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. You know, Johan Santana, he was a great pitcher, but you could even say Halliday's career was even better. 700 more innings compared to Santana. I mean, the numbers are slightly better, but I don't know, man. It just seems like Halliday is a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's a first ballot. Do you think he's a first ballot, or do you think he'll take him some time? Usually guys like this, it takes time, I think.
Yeah, I would give it like a year or two.
Yeah, Halliday, I think, had that good of a career, though, where he will be. And what about Todd Helton? He is an interesting player because, as we know, he had the luxury of playing in Colorado, playing in that stadium. Coors Field, we are all aware. It boosts your numbers. It definitely helps out when you look at numbers. And ultimately, Jeff, numbers are what we look at when we talk about Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Numbers is the key.
So do you think he gets in?
I wouldn't say this year, but he'll get in the next 4 years.
He had 5 All-Star appearances, 4 Silver Sluggers, 3 Gold Gloves. He finished in the top 10 in NL MVP voting 3 times, but he never won.
I think him never winning is going to put a damper on his Hall of Fame ballot.
Yeah, I think he had a Hall of Fame level type peak, but I don't know if he did enough. He really faded. He never hit over 20 home runs after his age 31 season. He was injured a ton. It's hard to say that he will get in. I don't think he will. I really don't. I think that the Coors Field stuff will actually be an argument used against him. So,
okay. I can see that.
How about Yankees legend Andy Pettitte? Does that sound like a Hall of Famer when you hear his name?
I would put him more in the lines of like 2 to 3 years from now. He's not first ballot. Or is he snubbed?
He's on the ballot for the first time.
Yeah, he's not going in the first time.
But you do think he'll get in?
I think like 3 or 4 years down the road.
So, he did confess to using HGH.
Well,
if guys like Bonds can't get in, why should Pettitte?
Yeah, but if Bonds should be in.
But I'm saying if these players are not being let in because of PEDs, why do you think Pettitte will be?
He won't be. That's the thing. If it's HGH, if he's positive for HGH, then no.
Well, I mean, he admitted to using it. So
yeah, but I think it's could have come to the point where down the years, but when he's last year eligible, they'll say, okay, you know what? He admitted it. He paid for his mistakes. Let's get him in the Hall of Fame.
All right. So how about Andy Pettitte's teammate, Mariano Rivera?
Absolutely first ballot.
First ballot, slam dunk?
Don't you think so?
I think he's the greatest relief pitcher of all time. So yes. He also had 17 pretty darn good to great seasons. Like, I don't remember him having a bad year, right? Like, he was as consistent as you can be.
Sounds accurate.
No one goes in unanimously, though, Jeff. No one. In terms, like not everyone votes. So he should get enough, though, right? He should get over 75%. Isn't that weird that no one's ever been unanimously voted in their first ballot?
Yeah, but I think it's like once like Derek Jeter's in there, he's going to be unanimous.
All right, so what about Lance Berkman?
No.
No forever? No for the next 10 years?
Give me like no for the next 10 years.
Okay, so no, he's not getting in. Okay. How about Roy Oswalt?
No. He had great seasons, sure, but he didn't do enough to be Hall of Fame caliber.
He had 5 really good seasons.
That's not enough.
I know. But he did. And then after he turned 30, his career went downhill. I mean, back injuries. I don't think he gets in. How about Miguel Tejada? Miguel Tejada also in his first year on the ballot. you remember him as that shortstop who could make a lot of awesome infield plays. Very slick fielder for sure. And he could do a little damage with the bat himself. So he did win a 2002 MVP, so AL MVP. So do you think he gets in?
As the MVP, he has a better chance than most people, but I would say not first ballot.
He's also a player that has been involved with, PEDs, drug associations, where he was always rumored to be on PEDs. So, okay. So how about a guy who's in his last chance here, Jeff? Edgar Martinez. This is the last chance for him. He was voted in by 70% last year. Do you think he'll get the required 75%? He needs 5% to join the Hall of Fame. Do you think he gets it in his last chance?
Yes, I really do. I know that's uncommon. That's an unpopular decision, but yes.
Some would say that he's the greatest designated hitter in Major League history. It can be argued. Regardless, he's a great hitter. He was 20 votes shy last year, so he needs to change the mind of 20 people. Do you think so?
I think that could be enough. I think he could do it.
All right, so what about Mike Mussina? He has 5 years remaining on the ballot. He was at 64%. Last year, his share increased by almost 12%. Do you think that he'll get the 12% needed to be a Hall of Famer this year, to be voted in?
I do. Yes, that doesn't seem that much, all things considered.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, so let's get to the meat of this argument. The meat of this, we all know what we're going to talk about here. And we're going to talk about players who are fairly or unfairly not in the Hall of Fame, and I don't think it's really based on merit. It's based on your opinion on if they were using factually or not factually PEDs, steroids. But the numbers kind of speak for themselves. So we'll start with Curt Schilling. Curt Schilling, 51%. His thing wasn't in terms of PEDs. It's more about kind of his
hatred towards the media,
his politics. Yeah, I mean, it really is. You can say what you want, and he can always play the victim like he loves to do. But I mean, he hates journalists, right? Like he wore that novelty T-shirt about lynching journalists, or retweeted whatever he did. He's just always been kind of a stick in the mud, right? So, do you think he gets in? He's at 51%.
51, it's close. Like what, 20 some odd percent left?
Some people think that his vote's gonna remain frozen. Like some people don't think it's actually gonna go up.
Oh, yeah, I would assume it goes up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what about Roger Clemens? 57% of the vote last year. Do you think he gets the required 75 and gets in?
Yes.
He's got 4 years remaining. He was at 57%, so he's about 18% off.
18% doesn't sound too bad. I'll say in.
This year? In?
By next year.
So if he gets put in, then it'll definitely be a shift, right? Like that means that, do you think Bonds will get in? Because they're basically at the same percentage.
Yeah, I believe Bonds should already...
They're both not in for the same reason.
I believe Bonds should already be in, to be honest with you.
Okay. You think that... why would you say that?
Because he's the all-time leader in home runs, 756. And PEDs don't help you hit a baseball. Like, it could help you get strength on the baseball, sure, but doesn't time you, doesn't give you timing, doesn't give you vision. And bottom line is, he was intentionally walked more than anyone else in professional baseball history. And
yeah.
Everything he's done speaks for itself. 73 home runs in his season, 762 home runs in his career. He was part of the 40-40 club, 40 homers, 40 steals. Like, this guy has done everything. And, why are you letting him out even though he's done illegal substance abuse? Sure, why not? He's done steroids. But that shouldn't stop you in this circumstance of what he has done in baseball, even before with the steroids. What he has done in baseball is more than enough.
So are you saying that if you are if you're accused or found to have used performance enhancing drugs, that it doesn't matter, like you should still be allowed to be in the Hall of Fame? Like it shouldn't.
There should be at least a discussion. If you don't want him in, and if there's
there is a discussion, right? Like
yeah, that's what I mean. Like at least you're discussing it. But I'm saying is like if there's something worse than that, if he's like, oh, I put too much tar on the bat, corked my bat, stuff like other stuff that really affects your swinging motions and really affects hitting the ball, other than just giving your arms bigger, then yeah, I would say no. But he didn't cheat with a bat. He didn't cheat. He used steroids, and I understand that.
Would you say that that's worse, cheating with a bat rather than taking performance enhancing drugs?
Well, it's a performance enhancing drug for a bat. So
I mean, yeah, but you'd say that's worse though?
But you see people cork bats and they just drive the ball with 300, 400 feet, and Barry Bonds did that without a cork bat. Yeah, he had strong arms, but again, it's timing, it's vision, it's perception, it's knowing where the ball is going to be.
I mean, no one's doubting that he was a great baseball player. He's one of the best baseball players of all time. But the Hall of Fame isn't. The argument is, do we put the best players in the Hall of Fame regardless of how they did it, or do we?
I feel like there's a glass ceiling there, but I think Bonds should break through it.
Do you think Pete Rose should get in?
Bonds wasn't banned for life.
But do you think Pete Rose should get in? I'm not asking you about Barry Bonds. I'm just asking you about Pete Rose. Do you think he should get in?
If Pete Rose was correct in saying he never bet on his own team's games, then you know what? Let's lift the ban. Let's bring him back. But if he did bet on his own team's games, just keep him banned because that's wrong.
Do you think he bet on his own team's games?
He claims he hasn't, but again, he was on damage control when he said that.
Right.
But
seems like something you would say, right? Like
yeah.
if you were like, okay, I admit, but I'm not fully admitting everything, right? Like
he could have very well have been. I wouldn't have been shocked.
I mean, I see what you're saying. If he didn't bet on his team against his team,
if he did not,
what if he bet for his team every time? What if he bet that his team would win every time that he bet on his team?
I don't know. That's a gray area.
I mean, that wouldn't be. You wouldn't see any fault in that, right? You'd be trying your hardest to win the game. Like, that's the point.
Yeah.
And even if you had an extra incentive, it's really the same as like having a performance bonus.
I really don't
right?
know how to answer that, to be honest with you.
But I mean, would you agree with this? If you bet on your team to win every time, isn't that essentially like a bonus? Like if you hit like 85 wins, you get like an extra $500K on your contract. You know what I mean? It's like the same thing.
It's
right?
like an incentive?
Yeah, an incentive bonus is basically
sure, we can go there, but yeah, there's other things.
The age-old debate. Will this ever end with the PED stuff?
Never. Never, never, ever.
I think Bonds will get in. And I think Clemens will get in. I don't know if Schilling will get in, which is kind of funny to me. But Clemens and Bonds, we can both agree. You talked about Bonds' numbers, but Clemens, you could do the same thing. They both have the required numbers. It's not about the numbers. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
I think
if you had to put in the Hall of Fame, any Thanksgiving side dish, who would go in the Hall of Fame? What side dish would go in the Hall of Fame? Only
mashed
side dishes.
potatoes.
Mashed potatoes?
Hands down.
Even if they're instant mashed potatoes? That's like PED mashed potatoes.
Just give me good old mashed potatoes.
What about green bean casserole? Can that get an MVP or a Hall of Fame
You're going to
vote?
not like me. Never had it. Or if I did, I forgot about it.
Wow. Never had green bean casserole, huh? That's sad.
I don't.
Sad life.
If I did, I don't remember.
Oh, that's even worse. Not memorable. All right. Well, I think that's it. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We'll stay looking at that Hall of Fame voting. Maybe we'll be surprised. Maybe we won't be, but we'll see what happens after the vote. So, thank you for joining us, and again, Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the day with your family and friends.
Goodbye, everybody.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Baseball Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.